so we're on shading and unwrapping now. We've got our low polys, we want to shade them tidy. So first of all, just get them all auto smooth, but then do it to 180. Okay, 180 degrees. It's okay for what it is, but we need to fix the shading. You can leave it like this, but it's just not optimal. We want our normal facing to be done correctly. So at the minute, it just all kind of blurs into one, and the lighting and shading hits it. Just strange. So let's fix it by getting our normals done properly. You can check your normals by this little, in edit mode, you can click this little drop down and this section by here. It kind of shows you where they are pointing. So what we're going to do, how do we fix this from going forward? So most of you probably have one like this or something similar, and you'll think, oh, I'll just put sharps everywhere. We don't want sharps everywhere. We are, you know, if you have a sharp, you have to add a seam. We're trying to limit the amount of seams, so we don't add sharps everywhere. What we can do is select this outer edge first, and we can press Alt N and set from faces. It will automatically add sharps and do that. We don't want it to add sharps. Why are you adding? Why is this thing adding sharps? I don't. Okay, for some reason it was adding sharps. We will set from faces on these, set from faces on these, and we will leave these beveled correctly. So I'm gonna, oh, we still have shadow cavity on it. Enough. We don't need cavity on. Set from faces. A lot cleaner. Look how smooth that is on the outside. These inner edges don't matter too much. Again, if you did want these set from faces, then it's gonna all go a bit crazy unless you had the sharps. You can, in this case, because we'll be cutting it here and here, because we're going to be marking seams, you could mark sharp there if you wanted to, but we don't want to mark these sides sharp at all. So set these from faces. Now, oh, we got sharps there. Now we can set from faces, but we click keep sharp edges. Do it on this one. Those two. Now that shading is the best we can get with only having the sharps on the outside. There is a better, even better way, is just to have all these, for example, face into the right, and on this side face into the left. It is a different way of doing it. Chances are, if you've got a bevel, you can leave the bevel. You can kind of leave it like this. But if for LODs and stuff you want to get rid of more and more geometry, it might be better off having all of this. For example, I'll just show you because I'm using this add-on, BNPR Abnormal, quite handy to use, because you can just edit the individual loop normals and set them all the same direction, so it's all going to this extra. Then the shading looks like this. Only thing is, as I said, the bevel won't get the light to hit it differently, so when it's all of this is gonna, the light's gonna hit the same, and then this section in the middle is gonna hit differently. So it is a trial and error to see which way works better for you. I think you can do both. You mainly leave it in different directions like this when there is a bevel, but ours is quite a large bevel, so we'll see. We've got this, we're going to have to mark a seam bottom as well. To cut this into one long strip. So then we can go into UV editing. Select it all, press U and unwrap. So this now gives us the side pieces, one side, and a nice long strip in the middle, which is perfectly straight as well, so we don't even need to do anything about it. That might be the case for all of these. Sometimes these will be skew-if and you will need to straighten them out. So, like for example, if I did in this one, obviously I haven't fixed the shading yet, but if I marked the seam, add the seam underneath here. So if it's slightly different than this first one because we've gone for the top on the first one. On this one, I'm just showing you, for example. If we would unwrap that section, it wouldn't be straight. You can see it's all not ideal. You want all these to be straight and you want the top to all be horizontal and vertical. So, which is where Rizom comes in very handy. You can do this in Blender if you select, if say for example you select all those and scale by x0, I'll straighten it out. You'd have to do the same on every single one. This. You don't miss any. Oh, I grabbed those on the other bit. And then the same for all these. Scale by y. Nice and straight now, but Rizom will make it so much more optimized and better. I'll do that in a bit, but we'll get to that point once we've unwrapped each specific one. Right, okay, so I'm going to go back to this one. We're going to need a seam on the inside to unwrap this as a solid straight line. We'll clear this one because I don't want it there, and I want it there. Back seam, clear seam. And we will clear this seam on the other side because I added those in by accident. Just to prove a point earlier, we'll mark this one. You want to mark the same on the inside and the outside, exact same point. Don't mark like one there and one there on the inside. It's so much neater just having the exact same position. We can go to UV editor on this one, unwrap, and it's telling us there's non-uniform scale. So we haven't applied scale to begin with. And then you can unwrap again, and it's perfect. The shading is obviously off. We are on auto smooth, so we can just select that one, set from faces. Outside is perfect. Faces on the inside. Here, both of these sides are quite ugly. You can do from faces. I think it might be worth applying, in this case, it might be worth applying the sharps here, 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 here. We're having seams there anyway. We can mark the sharps. And then set from faces on these ones. Shading a bit. It's much nicer shading. I think that we'll have to do that. I think it will just look cleaner. Obviously, we've got this section here. What we need to do is poke faces on this section. We need to have it triangulated there. This we can probably just unwrap as it is. We just just unwrap it like that. I don't think we need to make any seam. Okay, so we can move on to this one now, which is probably the same as this one. Were they identical? I think they were. But let's just delete that one, duplicate this, and move it to that space. But we do want it to have the same name as whatever we just deleted. What did I just delete? It was tyre 2. Tyre 2 and Squelpy. Because we need that to be. We'll unwrap them all together. We need them to be in separate spaces. And I'll tell you another tip shortly when we get past this last bit. Oh, we didn't do this one. Again, I think we can just get away with unwrapping it like this. I don't think we need to any cuts in or anything. For the sake of it, you could do one here. If you're set from faces, is automatically adding the sharps. We don't want the sharps. I'm not even sure how much we need this. We might get away with just that, to be honest. I can set from faces on that one. I think that might be better. See, we're optimizing as we go. Right, yeah, so that's those two down. These, actually no. Let's have all these. So, because this is just a plane, we'll have this, all facing, normals facing the right hand side. So we'll do normal direction X. Again, if you want to get this add-on, guys, I'll put the link in the description. On proper dark, and why is that? Let's find out the face orientation. Then we can find out these are in the wrong way around, and this one over here is the wrong way around. So we need to select these, Alt N, and flip. Reset. Why is this? Just double check. Flip that one so it's all blue. And we start the normal editor again, and here we go. Perfect. Perfect shading. Yeah, sometimes you get that error, guys. It's the normals are facing the wrong way around. They just need to be flipped. Because when you come into Substance Painter, they will show up invisible. Because they are the normals are the wrong way around. So then we just need to do this one. Similar to, it's not far off this one, to be honest. We can just seams here. We will mark sharp on this one though, because we're doing the same as the thin wheel. So we'll mark sharp on those. Set from faces on the outside, faces on the inside. We don't want this as a sharp, so clear that. Set from faces on the outside there. Set from faces on the outside. Chances are we want all these to be facing the exact same way, but we'll leave it for now with the bevels. I think it should be fine. And we need this one to all be in. It's not far off, but we'll just double check. See, it was a little bit off. We want it all to be facing the same way. See, look, we've got a sharp here as well. It's automatically added. There we go. Fixed. I'm pressing Control S a lot. However, my high polys are quite dense, so it's taking a bit longer to save. We've got all our shading done correctly and our seams ready, up and ready to go, I believe. No, we didn't add one on the bottom here. Didn't add one on the bottom, and this either. So we can select all of these, go into UV editing, press U, unwrap, and that is nice to an extent. Okay, we need to find out where we don't want rings like this. Same this one, this one, this one. We don't want these rings. This is where Rizom comes in very handy, because you want these straightened out. If you're just making it for yourself, you could get away with leaving these in, unwrap just like this, and we could bake it like this at this point if you want to skip ahead to the next video. Ideally you want to pack these a little bit better, but if you don't have any add-ons, you're gonna have to, the case of like, you're gonna have to select them and move them around and place them by hand much better. Scale them up or what have you. I want to show you the right way, the faster way, but obviously it requires different programs and add-ons. which are paid. So if you don't want to spend any money, just get to this point, go to the next video to look at texture and baking. Otherwise, stick with me and I'll show you what I do. So to optimize these going forward, this and this, we need another seam because we want these to be in a straight line as well. It just makes sense for making LODs and stuff. So you had information baked in a circle, and then you wanted to cut it down by like half. Then this shape is going to completely change, and your circle baked information would be the 16 shape hexagon that we have here. So it just would all fall apart. So what we want to do is straighten these out. It just looks optimized, looks cleaner. It's only when it comes to rings, we don't want rings. These are fine. These ones are fine. But it's the ones where similar to this we can get rid of. So it's only on this one and this one. What we're going to do is we're going to select the entire loop and mark the seam. And the same goes on this one. Entire loop, mark the seam. Now we can go back, select them all, unwrap. So these are all broke apart. Now I can't tell you how to straighten these out in Blender. I don't know the best way to do it by hand. So we're going to do it in Rizom. I did an earlier video on straightening out UVs. I will cover it again in this. But if you haven't got Rizom, that's fine. You can skip ahead, or you might have already skipped ahead. But yeah, the add we're going to use RizomUV to straighten these all out and optimize everything. Then we're going to come back into Blender and we're going to use an add-on called UV Packmaster. Again, it's a paid add-on, but if you stick around, you will see how useful it is and how much you probably want it after using it. Right, so these are our low polys. We're going to export all of them. We're going to export FBX. We're going to go, if you set up your folders nicely like this, I recommend doing so, be organized. Once your FBXs, these are ones I did before, so we're just going to TYRES, or Rizom we're going to call it, match, selected objects, turn that off, export, okay? We're going to go into Rizom, which looks like this, load, TYRES for Rizom, and this is what it looks like. You can already see, so the distortion on some of these, they need to be optimized because that is bright red, that is showing up red and blue, and we can optimize this using this program. First we'll fix these sections. So we press F2 on the keyboard. We're gonna straighten that out by adding a horizontal constraint, and we're going to, so that's already in a line to begin with, and we'll then double click horizontal constraint, double click vertical constraint. We're going to do this for all of these now. I'll just quickly pass ahead. I did a video on straightening UVs if you want to check that out. I'm just going to quickly do this now. Right, so I've done that quickly now, guys. You can see everything is nicely packed and optimized and in the right direction. Everything is as it should be. There is a case of these stretching a little bit on the bits that we straightened out, but it shouldn't make too much of a difference. We'll have to check it out later on, but we could take this back into Blender now. So if we just file, save, back in our workspace, we can delete the ones we'd sent to Rizom, delete those. We could file, import, FBX, and let's go to our FBX, tyres for Rizom. So this is now, that Rizom file, with it all optimized, is now where we need it to be. The important thing now is to pack this correctly. As I said before, if you're doing it by hand, it's quite tricky, but if you get this UV Packmaster engine, I can't remember how much it is, but you will love it. If you change the margins, say 0.08, 0.008, enable heuristic search and advanced heuristic, you can lock overlapping as well. So if there is geometry that you want to stay on top of each other, you can do that, but we don't have any in this file. And we can literally just click pack, and this will just go through all the iterations to try and find the best packing to get the most UV texture space for the most texture space for your UVs. It'll go through tons and tons. See, it's like 0.76% at the minute. You can scale these down or scale them up if they don't need to take as much space. So say you have something which is upright and you don't need to see the base, like say these were laying down and they're always going to be laying down, the back face wouldn't need to take up as much texture space, so you could scale that down by like 0.75 or something and then pack it again, and you'll get a better result. There's always a way to get a better result. This is probably the best result we can get at the minute, but I just wanted to show you quickly. This obviously, we could take this then and export this into ready for the next part, but I just want to show you one more thing. Let's press escape to stop that a second. There's two on here that are going to be mirrored. So this part is going to be mirrored over here. We need to mirror it along this tire, and these two sections are going to be mirrored as well. There's one section. These two sections are going to be mirrored as well. So we'll apply a mirror into this, and we'll do the same for this mirror here. Okay. These need to be applied because now, ideally, you could do this afterwards. You could texture it all just from the front and then apply this mirror anyway. But I'll show you now why we do it. We can apply these. Apply all them. Thing is, now we have overlapping UVs from the geometry. That one's overlapping that, and those two are, which is great because this is what we want our final texture to look like. We could export this as, let's just do TYRES underscore LP, or I'll just go that one, doesn't matter. Selected objects and export, because this is what we want the final to be. But we don't want to bake onto this because we do not want to bake on overlapping geometry, and that is where this UV Packmaster comes in handy again, because you can literally just click this split overlapping islands and it will move it to the next space over. So we can export this as our baking file and then import the one we just saved as our final file. We want to bake on this information, and then we can pull these back and back over afterwards. Because if you bake on top of two, it's just going to go tits up, basically. You'll see if you did it, you know. But we can then just grab these, move them back at x-1, and we can save this again. So literally just splitting the overlapping island. The thing is, like, as I said, if you want to lock it, if we had this and we lock overlapping, because there's some that are overlapping, and we decided, oh, we're going to resize this one down to this and pack it again, we don't have to redo all this stuff because they're already on top of one another, and we can just lock that overlap and just pack again, and it'll keep those locked in their positions, and it will find a new, better way after we've resized that one UV island. I won't do that because I don't want that one to change. If anything, you'd probably lower down like this one, but we don't really need to. In this scenario, I'll just leave it as it is. So I will split these ones, and what I'll do is I'll save this, export this, FBX as this one, but I'm going to put underscore bake. So I know this is my baking file that I need to import. and then the other one is my final file. Well, one last thing we need to do before we do that, actually, I've missed a step, and I apologize. What we need to do is add triangulate modifiers on all these, but we want to keep the normals on every single one. You can just select all of these now, press on the last one, we just added the modifier and press Control L and link copy modifiers. Then everyone else has this triangulate. We want to export it with triangulated mesh. It helps for baking, especially on difficult angles. Maybe not so much on this, but you want to triangulate your mesh before you go into baking, and then it'll have the desired result. So just make sure you don't have to apply these because it'll get applied when it exports anyway. So we'll export it again. This will be tyres_bake, and we'll grab these gx-1 and we'll export these tyres_lp. Now all we need to do is let's get rid of these a second, hide them. We need to export our high polys as well. Providing all the names are exactly the same, please double check that all your _LPs are the same as _HPs while they are baking. If their names are mismatched, they won't bake properly. Make sure that just be organized in your workflow. But I'll export these now, and it might take a little while, so I'll fast forward. Okay, that's all done. So we are now ready to go into Substance Painter and bake all our information and texture. When we bake, we might have issues that might come up in the video, but which we can then go back and tweak the low poly, but we'll get to that in the next part. Thanks for getting this far, guys. I hope you're following along with me, no problem, and catch me in the next video and we can carry on this series.